This week we looked at teacher pay, and we found that it was hard to identify what a quality teacher looked like. For women, teaching used to be an attractive career, so they had an option of either working in the home or they were producing different products within the house. Now, as time went on from the 1950s, 60s, 70s, 80s, women went into the workplace, and as a result, they ended up getting different careers available to them. As the market for women has expanded and the ability for college degrees have also grown, lower quality teachers are now in our classroom as a result of that. And so with a lower quality teacher, then we have some politicians that are using sticks and carrots in order to get us to do our jobs. When in fact, if we take Michael Fullen's perspective, we can encourage all teachers to do a great job without having to use bullying tactics or using things that are beyond the teacher's control. And so the policies that I have in place ensure teachers are doing their jobs and increasing testings and mandating curriculums, which we have seen that since 1992 was the first statewide curriculum, I believe, that was being developed. These policies are meant to keep a tight rein on teachers rather than students, so they're not for punitive student impact, but it's a way to monitor whether teachers are doing what they're supposed to. And the author of this article is using stance for merit-based pay to provide increased salaries. And merit-based pay has been tried in a couple different locations, but unfortunately, due to a economic impact of merit-based pay, doesn't work in an educational setting as it does in a commodity type environment. Another author identified teaching as having multiple fringe benefits, in that we as in women can have a couple children and still be able to have a career. So it provides the opportunity to have a dual career. It's the only career that this person asserted that has sick leave built in so far as a substitute in case you needed to be out. Wage gaps in this case are explained by a shorter workday and an even shorter work year. We also have early retirement with the full benefits of a teacher and full or partial funding of the health plan. North Carolina is now taking away retirement benefits. You can make a 401k and use that just as well as you could a state health plan, guaranteed retirement plan. And there are now, actually last year they were sued for making retirees pay $100 or so a month for their retirement plan, not the retirement, but their health care plan. And I think as of last year, 2018 hirers are not being offered a health plan unless that's changed. So a good teacher in the classroom will have high value-added scores because of the value that they add to their student as a result of you being in that classroom. And so what the author was saying with this document was that there's a problem with value added because oftentimes students are not randomly assorted in the classes, that you can have a teacher, if you want to make them look really bad, you can give them the worst kids that will not, or discipline problems, so they're not going to be in class and not going to try hard. Or you can take a really good teacher and then give them the honors and the AIG kids, and you still should be able to get, of course, the good score, but you should be able to get your value added as well. Often teachers have skill sets that do not translate well into other fields. Many of those leaving the classroom remain employed by the public school districts. Attrition reflects a movement into administrative or other non-teaching positions within the public school system. And teachers who have a high value-added score earn more in other industries than other teachers who left. Among leavers for jobs in other industries, the relationship between value-added and subsequent earnings increase in magnitude and remains statistically significant, with a 1 standard deviation increase in value-added association with an earnings of 7.5%. A master's degree can be associated with earnings that are 18% or higher. So the more degrees you have, the more the potential for your income. However, with the value added does not necessarily result in student impact. So their opportunity of wages outside of teaching, they're correlated with classroom effectiveness. If you're a good teacher, you can also be impactful in other locations. The key takeaway for value-added measures of influence, you can get a salary guide, years of experience, or advanced degrees. The higher your value added, you can increase your degree attainment. And of course, high school versus elementary skill set and compensation. Should a high school teacher make the same thing as a third grade elementary school teacher should make the same thing as a college professor? So they were really saying that there's a big difference in the level that you teach as to what type of outcome you should have. One of the readings included having a part in there that the state went to a horizontal pay scale because there were some teachers that made more. African American teachers made less, and I have a friend who started at the school that I taught at last year. When they would hand all the white teachers out another paycheck, and they would not tell what it was. And so by adding this base pay, everyone got the same thing. Well, that's fine, but then that makes everything like socialism, which is you don't have to do anything to get something. And then there are those of us that really work hard and get the same thing as someone who does not work hard. So we all know what happens to socialism. There are some alternative pay systems that were geared to improve teacher practice. Professional learning-based salary systems was an alternative program that awards teachers credit towards salary increases based on forms of professional development, college courses, workshops, independent study. And the program works to assume teachers that welcome the challenge to improve their skills in order to meet their students' needs. Teachers have proven themselves eager to rise to the challenge, and that system provided a reasonable incentive for them to do so. This idea correlates well, as I alluded to before, with what Michael Fullen purports in his writings, that we must assume and move from the perspective that everyone wants to work and does try to move from the best intentions. Moving from this perspective will allow us to understand that if something is not done, it could be because a person lacks the capacity to do it, rather than simply choosing not to do something. The same concept exists here. If we really want to improve our capacity, we must continue to learn new things, and as an employer, I want my employees to learn new things, and I really should pay them for it if it's going to benefit my students. Some arguments in the readings this week focus on student results. If I only tried to accomplish a task, knowing it will get the job done, but not necessarily with the efficiency or enjoyment from the students or myself, this will stifle all creativity, because sometimes things just flop and they don't turn how it's going to be planned. And if we stop the wheels of advancement, our educational landscape would look much different indeed. With this system that I just spoke of, staff move through the salary schedules based upon experience and professional learning, rather than that vertical step system that we have in place in North Carolina. Every year you get a $50 increase. Now we've got 5-year bans for North Carolina systems. The association and district have tweaked the program to ensure it's financially sustainable for the district. Salary is important to the district and the union, but the focus really the job satisfaction and the professional development piece. And again, it goes back to Michael Fullen. Grow your employees, make them willing to leave, give them the wings or the capacity to leave you, but make them not want to because of how good you treat them. I think all of this plays into this particular month here. Equalizing salaries in the profession was a motivation for the STEP system, as I said earlier. And a strong, well-designed merit pay plan requires more than offering a bonus to high-performing teachers while paying the remainder according to standard schedule. To be truly effective, pay performance must mean in education what it does in other industries: salary increases for the successful, salary reductions, even dismissals for poor performers, and state law state laws governing teacher tenure in most states make the implementation of such plans unlikely. So this week was about, what do we do with teacher pay? Do we levelize it? Do we make it merit pay? And a lot of the discussion this week was, if we make it merit pay, that goes on against the educational context that it's in, which makes people compete with one another. And I don't think competition is a good thing. We need to be able to grow and collaborate and form a learning community. And with the money tied to it, that's going to keep a lot of people from sharing what they do best. Thank you so much for watching.